I'd already completed my edit and I have had to drop this in with some desperately sad news. Donald Mc Callum passed away yesterday. Phew, words don't come easy now, hey? But Shireen, Caitlin, Michaela, Nikita, we thinking of you guys. Many of you who are following our journey will know that Donald was involved in all the habitation wiring of Meraai, as well as most of the plumbing of the vehicle, and so much more. A good guy. He is one of the good guys, and he will be sorely missed. Yeah, forever in our thoughts, brother, forever in our thoughts. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this house of York, and all the clouds that lord upon the house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. That opening line from Shakespeare's Richard III is a reference to the end of the English Civil War called the War of the Roses. Our battle, our war to get Meraai up and running is being won, but at quite a cost. Welcome to another episode of Fixing Up the Cuck of the Past. It's a terrible way to start a sort of a little greeting, isn't it? It's not lacquer. But yeah, it's not a lacquer situation we're in. Mariki was saying, don't you think people are getting tired of all this negativity? And I'm sure you are, but I don't really have any other option, because we have to fix this, otherwise we can't use this vehicle. Yeah, we are moving forward, and there have been big steps made, big steps. But there's a few interesting things that I've come to realize, and let me start at the front here and I'll show you what I mean. The guys asked me, how do you get the engine out? And I was like, well, it was just pushed in on a jack. And then they pointed out, but you can't, because there's this cross member. And I couldn't remember how it was done. So I had to go back to my footage, and this is one of the big advantages of having filmed every step of this build. This cross member was cut. They cut that, and then the engine was put in. And then they welded it back in place. And I said, well, what happens if we ever need to get to the engine? And I was told, no, then you'll work on the engine through that hood at the top, and only if it's a major thing, would you ever need to remove the engine out forward. Well, here we are, only weeks after I took delivery of the vehicle, and we have to remove the engine. Once again, the cross member was cut out so the mechanics could pull Meraai's engine. The guys behind me are the Oaks from Henry's Diesel Works here in Marburg on the south coast. So what's happening here is John and his guy are busy. They're going to take the whole fuel pump off. It needs to be calibrated, and there's a leak there somewhere. There's a whole lot of leaks, and they're going to sort it. Plus he can now also set the timing properly. John Bamber and his mechanic will remove the fuel pump and give it a good service, something that should have been done months ago. Then another red flag was raised. John just pointed something out to me, which is also another cause for concern, and that is the amount of gunk in the little filter that has trapped the fuel coming straight from the tank into that fuel pump. And it is a lot of muck, and that's just in driving it a distance of about 10 k's. So I have no idea what this fuel tank looks like on the inside. This now means we need to take a closer look at our 150 litre fuel tank. The plan is to remove the tank and get it thoroughly checked. This is what an external examination uncovered. The sensor was loose and held in place with self-tapping screws. Not cool. The fuel pipe was epoxied into place and had already broken loose, Downright pathetic workmanship. I am waiting for news on what the internal examination reveals. With the engine out, the red flags are lining up, ready to pounce. Let's take a look at what was holding our 550 kilogram power plant in place.
We also think we have discovered the real reason for this hectic engine stroke clutch shudder. Everything is loose. I mean, major mountings on the engine are loose. The actual, whether the clutch lever goes into the clutch, it's a homemade job. At least we found it now. And yeah, there's a whole lot of real Heath Robinson stuff going on there. That's got to be sorted out. And then the actual mounting bolts from the engine are, the sizes are just so weird. You have a very thin bolt going into a very big hole with no bush to keep it in place. So you've got a hell of a lot of movement and it shakes around, and that engine was an accident waiting to happen.
All of these issues should have been picked up and sorted out way back. But no. Instead, this is the quality of work that Meraai and I paid for and was proudly given to us to drive away in.
I've had quite a few messages from you guys saying, why do you not try and recuperate some of these costs? You know, and I've thought about it. It is an option if one wants to go the legal route, and I'm sure we would have a case. But those of you who've been following this journey know what I've been through. It has been really, really tough, and it almost literally cost me my life. And yeah, man, I'm fighting now for the vehicle. I don't want to fight with anyone else. Karma is a bitch, and I believe in karma.
And if karma is keeping a score, there is more to add.
The entire body was raised over 100 mils off the chassis, and I was told at the time the reason why you want to do that is so the engine doesn't stick up so high in the driver's compartment, and it made a lot of sense. However, now it makes no sense at all, because the reason why that engine stuck up so far into the driver's cab was so that you could change things like fuel injector pipes. Now we can't do it without having to pull the engine. And changing a fuel injector is not a big thing, but now it's a major thing, an expensive thing. No thought went into what was done on some of the design aspects of the mechanics of Meraai.
Speaking about that raised height, there are concerns regarding the structural integrity of these spaces.
You remember Tyron, the guy who did the wheel alignment, but he's got a workshop there that does steel work, metal work on heavy vehicles. I want Tyron to take a look at the spaces that were installed to raise the body off the chassis. If I look at these things now, I'm really worried about them, as I am with anything and everything to do with the structural integrity of our Meraai. And while we're here, I would rather he checks it.
After a brief examination, the feeling is that the spaces are a bit flimsy for the weight they are carrying. Weight that these leaf springs need to support.
The guys are busy loading my springs to take it off to Sean to sort them out. Then I suddenly remembered something else. My radiator. Now, I was ripped off on that radiator. I remember clearly. So we're going to send it off to a company who these guys recommend, and they are going to just check that everything is okay with the radiator. I just have to go over everything. I just can't. I don't trust anything anymore on this vehicle. Nothing.
This is Sean Turrell's work pausey. He is the owner of Izotcha Springs.
What is this oven here for?
This is for manufacturing Leafsprings. There's the raw material over there.
Okay.
Right. It goes through a process of hardening, and yeah, there's oil bars and Yeah, we manufacture all the leaf spring blades here right on site. Eh?
I can think of a few other uses for this oven. And the temperature inside there?
1,000 degrees, 950, 1,000 degrees.
Here are Meraai Springs. They're getting a bit of a makeover.
The springs were not in a bad condition. I think they just basically needed a bit of tempering, and the bushes were shot, but the bushes were absolutely buggered. They definitely need replacing.
My springs, what have you done to them?
We're retensioning them, adding extra blades, giving them a bit more height, and putting some spaces on the bottom of them, trying to just give you a bit more height on that motorhome.
It is becoming increasingly obvious that Mariki and I were taken for a massive, expensive ride over a 3-year period.
Till he unseamed him from the nave to the chops and affixed his head upon the battlements. That's from Macbeth. Well, Shakespeare was a violent, angry boy, and daily I am feeling violent and angry when I'm seeing what is going on here. But we are sorting it out. We are sorting it out. And yeah, I'm just really glad we didn't have any trip planned and paid for, because we would then be in a world of pain. So yes, my friends, the journey continues to get our vehicle to roadworthy, to get our vehicle to be a vehicle that we can be proud of and a vehicle that is safe. And we have got the right team working on it now. Thank you once again for all the support and the messages. You guys rock, man. Really, you're keeping me on the straight and narrow. And as usual, please, guys, look after yourselves, look after your families. Yeah, and just keep safe.